non hanno speranza di fermarli, perché quando muore uno, nasce un altro, come il serpente con 5 teste.
We're in Sicily, where a boat with hundreds of rescued migrants and refugees has just docked. 55,000 people have arrived to Italy through this route, mainly from Libya so far this year. And many of them have paid people traffickers to get here.
The Eritreans, Nigerians and Sudanese, who had been rescued from overpacked dinghies, had to, after days at sea, go through the lengthy regular boat landing process, involving medical checks and identification. Because they had paid people traffickers to get to Italy, the police were there, waiting to arrest suspected smugglers.
Madam, where are you from? Nigeria.
Where are you from? Ghana. No. You are sure? You are sure that you are Ghana?
The police officer told us that the Coast Guard does the first job of trying to identify who might be smugglers by asking the people that they've rescued if there are any witnesses. And then they separate the witnesses with the smuggler suspects.
In the eyes of the law, a smuggler is anyone from the big bosses of the trafficking rings in Libya and beyond, to the guys at the very bottom of the network who drive the boats.
We have the smugglers here and the suspect smugglers, and after we complete the investigation, we'll take them.
Push us with force, with guns. They say if we didn't come here, they will shoot all of us.
No, adesso li mettiamo in macchina e ce l'andiamo, c'è abbastanza fluido. Questa andate.
The suspected smugglers told us that they'd been forced at gunpoint to drive the boats. It was unclear if their claims were true, but people like them are the only ones that the authorities are able to arrest. The suspects were driven to the nearby Pozzallo reception centre, where the others who had arrived that day were also taken.
The first office is for investigation, Squadra Mobile, the team of investigation. That office is for immigration, and that office is for identification, okay? Here we have the people stay in the center. They arrived 3 days ago, okay? They stay here just 10 persons, because today we move 300 persons from here in another center, okay? Because we know that in the afternoon arrive another 400 and a half persons who arrive here, migrants.
The people you caught today are potentially just the sort of lowest level of people smugglers. They're just a guy that the big rings send out. How difficult is it to actually catch the big fish, like the actual smuggling networks?
Every day the Italian police catch the big fish. We have a big operation from it. Not so just my office in Ragusa, Pozzallo, but other in Catania, other in Palermo, other in Agrigento, just for example. Now, when we capture someone, the smugglers, the driver, and after we go for other big organization.
We met up with a former sea smuggler living under police protection to find out more about the thriving business of trafficking people escaping war and poverty into Europe.
What did your work as a trafficker involve?
C'è che la fai parte in Egitto, oppure a Libia, oppure che fai parte qui, che aspetta loro quando vieni e tiene loro fino a quando mi ricevono i soldi. Di tutti i paesi arabo, europeano, sono uno collegato. Ognuno fa parte, c'è chi si trasporta, c'è chi raccoglie, c'è chi la guida, c'è chi la aspetta, c'è chi la parte in Nord Italia.
Do you think it's possible for the European Union to stop people trafficking?
Non hanno speranza di fermarli, perché quando muore uno, nasce un altro. Quando attacca uno, nasce 10. sono come serpente con 5 teste.
Could you describe a little bit like a normal working day for you as a people trafficker?
Cioè sono una cosa brutta, perché si tratta di persona, anima. C'è che ancora non fermata, ancora continuare, anche quando si vede gente che muoiono, bambini che muoiono.
So do you think that if Europe would open legal ways of getting to Europe, that would completely eradicate people trafficking?
Salva tante vite di persone, salva vite di bambini, di mamma. La trafficante, chi ci dà la speranza per andare avanti sono le persone che vengono. Queste persone stanno scappando di povertà, di fame, di tutte queste cose. Quindi loro che ci dare la speranza della trafficante da fare trafficante.
The EU has declared war on traffickers in Libya, with an almost €12 million naval mission, EU NAVFOR Med.
The European Council tasked us to prepare an operation in the Mediterranean to save lives, first of all, and disrupt the business model of human traffickers and smugglers. The targets are not the migrants, the targets are those that are making money on their lives and too often on their debts.
Meanwhile, another trade is booming on its doorstep, land smuggling. For most migrants and refugees, Italy is not the end destination. Those hoping to get to other countries in Europe immediately escape the Italian migrant processing system, often by paying land smugglers to help them cross other European borders.
We're behind a train station in Catania, and we're going to meet an Eritrean guy called Abdel, who arrived here in Sicily in 2011, and now he spends most of his time helping Eritrean refugees who just arrived.
Here is the place where traffickers start in Europe, and now it's very serious problems, and all they are refugees, those who are doing this thing.
How come refugees who get here to Sicily start working in human trafficking?
All of them, at this moment, they don't respect anyone and they don't care about anyone. They forget anything about humanity and these things. After, if you go to the train station, if you come here, you will find them here, the traffickers, and they don't feel guilty. They say, okay, we are helping these people.
As I understand it, people traffickers here know that the refugees and migrants who just arrived here in Sicily don't understand how things work.
Nothing.
And because they're so used to paying traffickers, they take advantage of this, go up to people who just arrived and said, do you want to go to Rome, to Milan? It costs €200.
You know, the price of tickets here, they have to sell, I don't know, maybe their house to buy a ticket here only to Rome. It's a very serious problem.
How long have you been here in Sicily?
Where is that? 5 days.
5 days. Yeah. How will you get to Holland?
I need money, €300.
And do you have €300?
No.
So how are you gonna get €300?
I will go Roma.
Rome?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roma 38 money. Transport.
Costs €38 to go to Rome.
Yeah.
These guys have actually come here voluntarily to a square where they literally eat and shit and sleep in the same place because there's no future for migrants and refugees here in Sicily, and they know that even if they stay in reception centres and get their papers processed, they're going to end up on the streets. They come here straight away to try to gather up enough money to pay a people trafficker to be taken to the next stop in Europe.
Abel is part of a network of activists who fight land smuggling by offering newly arrived people the same services a smuggler would, but free of charge. For example, helping them buy train and bus tickets online, which are around €40, when a smuggler would have charged them up to €200 for the same tickets.
Il peut arriver à mi-chemin et puis bon, il n'arrive pas à avancer parce que le billet n'est pas fait. Comme tu viens, tu ne sais pas lire en italien, c'est difficile pour comprendre si le billet est normal ou bien le billet n'est pas normal. Donc souvent, ils trouvent des cas difficiles. Ils arrivent à mi-chemin mais ils ne peuvent plus retourner parce qu'ils n'ont plus de sous pour retourner.
So the guy in the yellow t-shirt that just passed and didn't want to be filmed, he's a smuggler. So he's going to chat to these boys now and essentially try to sell them his services.
Lui, ce qu'il vient de faire là,
Il a trouvé ces gars
Il
à la station.
Il les porte pas quelque part et puis bon, il les effraie. Et non, si par exemple la police te voit ici, il va te prendre. Comme eux aussi, il ne veut pas prendre l'empreinte en Italie ici.
We followed the traffickers to the bus station where he was taking the boys. At the station, Lucien pointed out another trafficker who had brought more people to the bus for Milan. It was clear that many newly arrived migrants and refugees were being taken advantage of in this way.
Abdel is taking the boys to the beach because it's the weekend and he said there's nowhere else they can find to shower, so they're going to wash and swim and play football. These young Eritreans who come here, have only been here for a few days, how vulnerable are they when they come to Catania?
The main problem is they already programmed it. They are programmed. They say, okay, you sacrificed all these years to reach Italy. So the main thing that you should not do is to stay in Italy or to do fingerprints in Italy. The main question, no one never asks them from what you are scared when you reach Italy.
When you were in Libya, what did you experience?
The traffickers in Libya, they will come to pay 2,000, 3,000 to buy this guy, and then he have to buy this money, of course, 3,000, and then he have to buy for the sea to pass here, 2,000. We try to help him to send him from here to Rome, and then from Rome, his family, they have to sell everything they have to buy the rest of the money. He don't want to go to centers here, the centers of reception. So, he have to stay in the street here with us for months, 2 months, and in Rome there is a big community where he can stay, at least a place where he can sleep.
Abdel told us that if we came back to the square at night, we'd see the smugglers in action. We saw the same guy from the bus station, talking to the boys, looking to rip them off. He refused to speak to us, so Abdel took us to see a former land smuggler who was willing to talk.
How do these trafficking networks work here in Sicily?
Dopo che arrivi qua, in questo ora, prima e per forza devi fare il pronto digitale, ma ora in questo anno anche fatto, anche ora in questo anno, e loro vengono qua, a una città grande, e ti chiamano, telefono, ti dicono mi aiuti, e lui va a prendere con autobus, con altro taxi, cosa, e prende qua a Catania. Dopo riceve soldi per loro e lo fa partire per Roma e Milano. Sono entrato qua a Catania e in Sicilia e non sapevo niente, cosa lo trovo, dove deve andare, dopo anche dove dormo, non sapevo niente. In quel momento anche mio fratello era in Libia, dopo il Sudan lui è arrivato in Libia. Quindi come era anche lui in carcere, io dovevo aiutarlo anche come io sono venuto, quindi io avevo soldi 5 euro, 10 euro di questi gente che vengono qua.
When we got back to the train station the next day, Abdel was in the middle of an argument with some traffickers, again trying to prevent newcomers from being exploited. This time, it was 2 young Eritrean boys.
They pay 150 euro for this ticket. Only these guys, because they are kids, he say 200. I was waiting with them. I asked them what happened. They don't want to tell me because they was afraid.
The 2 boys ended up having to pay 150 euros each for 38 euro bus tickets to the wrong destination. They wanted to go to Milan, now they're ending up in Rome where they don't know anyone.
Abdel is constantly working to help as many people as he can. While he was able to print legitimate bus tickets for 2 guys, right next to them a woman was crying.
He was very sad, not because he was sleeping here, only because he was selling this gold to have a ticket that costs 38 euro. She say, okay, now here I'm feeling just not human being. So I will sell anything to get this sense of being as human being.